Kathleen Turner stars in the third and final season of Netflix's The Kominsky Method. I'm David Buchanan with Gold Derby. Kathleen, it's a pleasure to talk to you today. You made a very memorable guest appearance in the second season of The Kominsky Method. I'm wondering if you had any inkling at the time that the role might come back and might be expanded, and is there anything you knew about your character of Razs then that you learned more about or saw differently when you got to sink your teeth into the character?
Well, I think that certainly I had a hint, and I really hoped that Chuck Lorre would want to, bring Roz back. What we saw there in the tent in Bolivia was this woman runs the place, and she does it under very difficult circumstances. And being with Doctors Without Borders for years, I think, in many parts of the world where there are very few resources, this is a woman who knows how to get things done and does them. So when she comes back to Los Angeles to be there for the daughter's wedding, she says she's not going to control, but we probably know that's not going to last. I think the thing I love the most is that these are two people there's a great deal of anger between Sandy and Roz, a history of anger. And they have to get along. They have to tolerate each other for the sake of the daughter. And in doing so, they start to see qualities in each other that they kind of remember and liked. And I think at one point we say, this is weird. But the truth is, they're letting go of their past, of all that anger. Which, why hold on to it? I mean, I said to Chuck Lorre, "My God, you're writing these adults down."
Absolutely, and that's something so unique about this is it's reuniting you with Michael Douglas. You obviously have an incredible history. And incredible chemistry, which really jumps off the screen. But I'm wondering, is there anything that these two roles and reuniting with Michael this time allowed you to explore together that you've never had an opportunity to do before?
Well, I think that the way that Roz baits and then, knocks Sandy down, is unique to this relationship. Certainly, it's not something I've necessarily done before. Even in War of the Roses, that was just flat out, I want to kill you. Anyway, so I think that the relationship here is very interesting in a lot of ways. And of course, when you add Sarah Baker to the mix as the daughter, then I love that scene in his office when we're planning the wedding, and she goes right along with Roz's messing about with Sandy.
Yeah, absolutely. And you only had, one of the really unique challenges I would think of this role is you only had 6 episodes or 5 episodes to fully realize a very complex character. So I'm wondering, in your background in film, but also your background in theater, where you get to really dive into, there's some really meaty scenes, long scenes of dialogue at a dinner table, for example. How does your background in all of these different mediums really help you put together a complex and fully realized character in only 6 half-hour episodes?
Well, 40 some years of experience. You learn to pick out what must be heard, what is important to I like to think of it sometimes as, having bases. You got to hit each base to be sure that the character unfolds as you would like it to. And that's experience. That's knowing how to do it and loving it.
Yeah, you mentioned your relationship with your daughter, Mindy, and working with Sarah Baker. I'm wondering how much of that relationship, especially in this moment where Mindy is embarking on a new part of her relationship with her boyfriend, Martin, How much of Raz's guidance of them is helping Mindy try to avoid maybe some of the mistakes of Raz's relationship with Sandy?
Well, Mindy's seen, her parents' relationship. She's lived through the anger and, the blaming and so I think she has a very good idea of what to avoid. I don't think Roz has to tell her much, except that she has to be independent and have her own resources. Yeah.
Yeah, no question. There's a great scene in the back end of the season where Roz kind of admits that she has no filter. And we do get throughout the season some incredibly sharp and hysterical barbs from Roz. I'm wondering though, is there anything that you think Roz does actually leave unsaid, whether it's about her relationship with Sandy, things that maybe she bites her tongue about when she's talking to Mindy? Is there anything that you feel like Roz is holding back?
If there is, then I think she's made that choice, not to use it, not to hit or whatever with it. One thing I really love is, toward the very end, it might even be the last episode, where Sandy is looking at his billboard, yeah, and saying, what do you do? What do you do if your dream comes true? And Roz, being an extremely realistic and sensible person who has seen a great deal of suffering and everything in her life, says, you enjoy it. And then Sandy's retort, I think, is pure Chuck Lorre. He says, yeah, but I don't know how. Wow. Now, is that today or not? I mean, that really hit a chord with me.
Yeah, no question. And speaking of your relationship with Sandy and Michael again, what I love about what you two have done together in this season is that, yes, there's a lot of remorse and regret, but the relationship is so honest and funny and not acrimonious or histrionic. How important was it for you two to kind of find a dynamic that felt really grounded and felt like real life? Because as you're saying, the dialogue really kind of feels of the moment, but also just so honest.
Well, there's a great deal of trust between Michael and me, built up over the years and over the work. So that's an important factor. What is also important is that they get out, they jump out of the past. They find themselves building a new relationship, and that's extremely valuable.
Yeah. And finally, there's a great moment somewhere in the middle of the season where Roz says to Sandy that she will never forget the first time she saw Sandy on a stage. I'm wondering, do you remember the first time you saw Michael Douglas on screen? And if not, what was it like meeting him for the first time? Do you remember, that first moment where you and Michael met?
Well, I must have seen, I never saw him on TV. I didn't own a TV. I didn't watch it. But I think so. It must have been the one in the nuclear plant. Yeah, that must have been when I first saw him. But also, I knew he was responsible for Cuckoo's Nest, which I absolutely adored. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was so knocked out by that anybody who made that happen had to be special, Yeah. So I was ready. I was ready to like him and willing to give him whatever credence he needed. Yeah.
Absolutely. And what was it like working with Michael for the very first time?
At first it was a little tough, only because we were in the rainy season in the heart of Mexico, and the roads were washing out, and Michael was a producer. And so he would be up at 4 a.m. arranging for gravel trucks to come in and relay what we call Douglas land. So he was quite distracted, you know, by all the work as a producer had to be done. So I had to be patient, you know, I had to really be patient with when he would get back to focusing on the characters.
Kathleen Turner, congratulations on the incredible turn in this final season of the Kominsky Method. It was really an honor to talk to you. And thanks for taking the time to speak to Gold Derby today.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Thank you.